Yes, and welcome back to the official Sourcing with Kian YouTube channel. Today we've got a very, very special episode for you guys. Got my main man, Foundr Rabinovich, in the house. Tom and I actually met back in 2017 in China, at China Magic. We were going to the Canton Fair, and we got to know each other then. We sort of spoke at the same events all around the world. We did some in Amsterdam and Hong Kong and where else? Vegas. So, but what Foundr does is it really helps Amazon sellers, helps aggregators, scales a lot of brands. He's got his own brands and businesses, and every time I hear him speak, I always learn something. So I thought it'd be best to bring him on the channel and sort of drop some knowledge to the Sourcing of Kian audience. And Foundr recently just published his very first book. It's a nice little colouring in book. Lots of really cool images and graphics in here, and some great insights about. It's really more about like actually operating a business rather than the sort of like day-to-day hacks. But Foundr, why don't you just sort of like introduce yourself, say hello, say what's up.
Sure.
And maybe talk a little bit about the book as well.
Yeah, so hi everyone. So I've been selling on Amazon since 2015, running multiple brands on Amazon with a small team, and also been consulting 7-8 figure sellers mainly for the past 4 years now, and also aggregators in the past few years since they came in. And the book was really written for active sellers. So it's not like how to sell an Amazon book. It's you already launched a bunch of products. This is how you take it to the next level. I even had like 7-8 figure businesses like commenting on the book, loving it. So there is something for everyone in it.
Nice. And so sort of, we're now going into sort of Q4 of 2022. What do you think sort of sellers should be mindful of going into Q4 and also like Q1 of 2023? What's the sort of top things people should be thinking about to be successful?
Yeah, so I think sellers should always think about when do I actually make my money, and then when do I actually need to launch my products. So if you think about like the season, like Q4 for most products is like the highest selling season. So if you try to launch a new product in Q4, good luck, because everyone is selling a lot. So it's very difficult to launch, but that's the actual time to try and make the most profit possible. So don't push hard on like PPC bids or anything like that. You just want to capitalize and just make as much money as you can. And then in Q1, that's usually the best time to launch new products. Mm-hmm. So I think you really need to understand the seasonality of your product. So if you sell like beauty or toys, like Q4 is your moneymaker time, and then Q1 is probably when you can launch a lot of products.
Mm-hmm. And because we mainly talk about like sourcing and supply chain and product development on this channel, I'm curious to know like what is your product research process, before you launch a product? What sort of things are you looking at before you validate? Because a lot of people ask me like, should I launch this product and should I launch that product? And I'm like, I can't give you that advice. I can just tell you how to source it and how to get the best price and how to get the best factory. So what's the sort of criteria that you look at before launching a product?
Yeah, so I think everyone is kind of teaching the same thing mostly. So they teach like find like a $15 to $60 product, small, light, easy to source, easy to ship, one piece, non-electronic, and so on. So my approach is the opposite. So because everyone is looking in the same place, I prefer to look at a different place. And then the other thing that happens is that they need to fight every single day on Amazon, because as soon as they launch, they have 50 new competitors coming in every day. So what I do is I look for heavy, expensive, or very cheap products, or electronic, or require FBA, and so on. And it's not something I recommend beginners. I recommend this for like seasoned sellers, obviously, or if you launch a bunch of products, you already understand the process. But then you fight only in the sourcing and product development part, and then you don't need to fight every day on Amazon.
Yeah, so basically a product with an element of defensibility as well, whether it be like a mold or a patent or some sort of certification, or maybe like a high barrier to entry because it's like a very big item which is going to be
basically call it like barriers of entry. So the more barriers you have, the better.
Awesome. And then I'm curious, like what is your sourcing strategy? Like, do you work with sourcing agents? Do you work with Alibaba? Do you do it yourself? You've been to China a few times yourself, so as a sort of seasoned seller working with many different brands and owning your own brands as well, like how do you approach the sourcing aspect of it? Yeah,
so the way we look at sourcing agents in Alibaba is everything is a search engine for us. So we use Alibaba for everything, and then we also use sourcing agents as search engines. So we say these are the specs for the product that we want. This is like the pros and cons list. So this is a cool trick that we use in Alibaba, and we reach out to suppliers. We read all of the negative reviews on Amazon, and then we say, okay, this product, like this small bit of the product arrives broken every time. This is this or whatever, and then we say to suppliers, and we say, all the samples we got so far, this is what we liked about it. This is what we didn't like. And we didn't order a single sample yet.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be tell them, but then for them it looks like we really know our stuff. It looks to them like we really know what we're talking about and understand the product. I think a lot of salesmen, they reach out to suppliers, it seems like they don't know what they're actually sourcing.
You're right, because when people talk to suppliers, they're kind of talking to their suppliers, and now they're learning about the product, and then they lose a lot of leverage because the supplier assumes that, okay, this person doesn't know about that product, therefore they raise their price because they're like, clearly they don't know the value of this product. But your method is a little bit more like, I've done my research, this is what we want, these are the issues, how are you going to solve it? And the supplier's like, oh wow, okay, this is a customer which actually...
Yeah, and one of the things I think sellers forget is like they read the negative reviews and what people don't like, but they forget what actually people do like about the product. So that's why we build a pros and cons list, because we say these are the things we want to keep, and these are the things we want to change.
How do you structure that list? Do you essentially just put it in like a Google Doc or a spreadsheet?
Just a Google Doc, just like a long email, basically, that we send out. That's it.
Hey guys, so thanks for watching the episode so far. Tomer has very kindly agreed to give away 3 free copies of the Ride the Amazon Wave book. And to qualify for this, just leave a comment below. If you've got a question for Tomer, feel free to write it in the chat about your Amazon business, and he'll happily jump into the comments and answer. Or if you don't have a question, just feel free to write anything in the comments. And by leaving a comment, we're going to go and pick 3 people completely at random. You can leave as many comments as you like. We'll pick 3 people, we'll send you a free copy of the book. And also for one lucky winner, Tomer's kindly agreed to have a 1-hour free coaching call to analyze your Amazon business and help you sort of take your business to the next level. So if you are interested in that, just leave a comment below. And let's get back to the interview. And from watching your presentation here at the event as well, I think what you do quite well is you keep things pretty simple as well. You don't overcomplicate things. So how would you sort of discuss like how you run your business, how you run the operations of your business? Like, do you keep it pretty simple and straightforward, or is it quite complex? Like, how do you organize your team?
Yeah, so I think you want to, when you call this a business, like a lot of sellers kind of walk into this as a side hustle and they think this is easy or like passive income or whatever, but I really believe that if you are a new seller starting out, you need to treat it as a proper business coming in. And what I tell people, so I have a friend in Israel, he works for Intel, and he said, I want to start my Amazon brand. And I'm like, but you love your job. I said, what do you mean? Like, I'm like, if you love your job, don't do it. Like, you should do it only if this is like your goal. This is what you want to do, and you want to quit your job and do this full time. Otherwise, don't go into this.
And you talk about that in the book a little bit as well, about systems, right? Because it's essentially like how you run your business, not necessarily like the key hacks and strategies.
The first half of the book is the foundations part. So it's like product selection, sourcing, product development, launching the product. So all of that is like reviews. All of that is like the first half of the book. Third quarter of the book is about the third part of the book is about running your business. So
do you want to check?
No, it's PPC, supply chain, KPIs. That's like the third quarter. And then the last quarter of the book is all about like systems, processes, building a team, exiting your business if that's what you want to do at the end of it. What to do even after you finally exit. I've seen so many sellers kind of go into depression after selling their business because they didn't have anything. They had that big void in their life and they didn't know what to do. And I think that's something to think about as well. Like if you don't have anything in your life besides your business and you exit it, and what's left, so.
True. And like, you give a lot of help to the community, and like, through talks and conferences and like your Top Dog Summit, and you're quite active on Facebook and stuff like that as well. And there's a lot of other sort of people that sellers look at in the industry to get help and advice. But what do you think, because you've seen a lot of sellers be successful and a lot of them fail as well, so what do you feel are the characteristics of a seller which will be successful versus the ones which will not be, from everyone that you've worked with?
Yeah, so the first chapter is about mindset. The first and last chapter is about mindset, and I think that is where it all starts and ends, for sellers. And I think your mindset should be either I'm going to win or I'm going to win big. Like that's it, like it's all in. And doesn't matter what, I'm just going to keep going. And what I tell sellers is, let's say you are a beginner and you want to start, and you think, I had this seller in Israel talking to me and signing up for a course and told me, I'm going to launch a product, if it doesn't work, I quit. I'm like, you're already off, I tell sellers, you need to think about, I'm going to launch 3 products, because if the first one fails, and you need money for the second one in the back of it, and if that one fails, launch the third one. I didn't see a lot of sellers failing with 3 products in a row completely, so that usually doesn't happen. And it's kind of like anything that you learn, any investment that you put in to anything is like, it just an expense to learn how to do it. So it's your investment. So if the first few products failed, that's just your investment. It's not a failure. You just learn from it, obviously. So it's okay that products don't work.
And you take those lessons into your third product, which then will be successful, and that third product wouldn't have been successful had you not learned from the failures of the first 2 products. So essentially, Would you advise then, like, okay, well, your first two products should just be something that is a low-cost item, maybe like a $3 or $4 item rather than a $20 item, because then the cost of failure is a little bit cheaper?
It can be. It doesn't really matter when you think about it. So let's say you launch a $3 COGS, right? Let's say it costs you $3 to produce the product, and you need to start with 1,000 units, right, to begin with, because you need to give us, like, it depends on what's going on in the market, but let's say that's the product. If you think about it, you can launch a $30 product that costs you like $30, but you sell it with 100 units.
And
it's the same price. So again, it has nothing to do with, like, I think it's just a mindset shift that you need to do in your head. Because if you want to get to like 10K a month in sales, it's the same. Like, you can sell 10 units from this or 100 from that, right? And it gets to the same 10K.
True. And out of interest, like, what was your first, like, oh my God, this is real moment? Like, when was it that you checked your Seller Central account and you'd be like, I can't believe I did those numbers? Or like, something just went so well for you that you're like, all right, this is what I'm going to go all in on. Like, what was that moment like for you?
I think for sellers, like, the first sale is like significant, Like, I think it was like March 5th, 2015 that I made my first sale. And I think your world kind of shifts a bit at that moment in time. And for me, just seeing sales, like, my first product hit right out, and like, it did really well. And like, no PPC, nothing, just started selling. So I think, like, when you see that happening, you realize this is actually real. It's not.
True. And do you look at different, like, marketplaces? Like, do you look at other countries, or are you only focused on, like, the USA?
So I'm focused in the US because I'm trying to keep my business very simple. And there are different ways to keep it simple. You can have a lot of products in the US and keep launching that way, or you can have a few SKUs and then expand to Europe and Walmart and whatever else, but that also keeps it relatively simple. It's just kind of choosing your fights and what you want to do, but that's what I've done.
True, and I think you're really strong on, like, listing optimization. Like, do you have any tips for sellers, like, okay, how to improve the quality of your listing and therefore improve your conversion?
Yeah, so most sellers, they launch a product based on competition. So they look at what the competition is doing, maybe even buying their products on Amazon, figuring out how to improve it, but when they go to build a listing, they start from scratch. They build their title, bullet points, images from scratch, instead of taking what the competitors did and improving off of that. So there's a chapter called Make It Better that is all about optimizing your listing based off of the competitors. And you also always need to think, let's say you already have a product, you have 200 reviews and you're selling 10 a day, you want to move to 20 a day, you need to understand, can you actually move to 20 a day? Is there anyone with less reviews than you selling more than you? Like, what does the market actually look like in your niche? So let's say there are sellers with 100 reviews and selling 5 times than you, then you can probably do better,
And like, I'm curious to know, like, what's your thought process on, like, data versus intuition? Like, do you follow a lot of the data, the software tools to tell you, right, okay, well, this is a product I need to do? Or sometimes do you develop a product and be like, right, this is what I think will be successful, I'm going to go for this. The data doesn't tell me this, but I've got a good feeling about this. Like, what percentage do you use, like, data versus intuition? Is it 50-50, 80-20?
It's probably like almost entirely data.
Really?
But I will say that data can be tricky. So there are basically 2 ways to launch product, like 2 ideal ways to launch products. So one is based off of products that are already selling on Amazon and they don't have, let's say they have low reviews, high revenues, then you can go right in and launch like a better product. That's one way. The other way is to launch products that don't really exist on Amazon, but in that case you want to make sure there is search for that product, because Amazon is a search engine. So if people don't search for it, they don't buy it. So let's say you have a very innovative product idea, in that case you should probably go to Kickstarter or something like that, right? And not launch it on Amazon to begin with.
True. And then what's your thoughts on, like, Shopify and building a brand and stuff like that? Do you see that as the future to be, like, have a bit more defensibility, build a community, build your own list, build your audience? Like, do you see the industry going in that way, or are you still all in on Amazon?
I'm still all in on Amazon. I think most brands don't fit both. So if you have like a kitchen brand, $20, $30 products, like, good luck doing that on Shopify successfully, But if you have like a supplement brand or like a consumable brand of some sort, that can do really well on Shopify. So it just depends on the brands that you have. But usually, like, the business model is just like some products fit Shopify, some products fit Amazon, and usually they don't really mix well together. But if you did sell your brand and you kind of want to move, you want to start over again, you probably have much better chances going to like omni-channel route, where you can do Shopify, Amazon, and maybe even retail at some point. So that's probably like a healthier brand to build overall. And if it's social media friendly, that's even better, because everything is about like TikTok and Instagram and UGCs and all of that. So that's like another thing that you might want to think about when you're going into a new brand. So if you just launch, like, I don't know, disposable cups, right?
Yeah.
As an example, then that's probably not a very good idea. Because that's not going to go viral, right? But if you launch like a beauty brand or sports and outdoors or baby brand, like those can go kind of viral on social media.
Interesting. And I'm curious, like, what's working in your business in terms of like PPC?
So PPC is very complex. I think if you look at PPC as a whole, what happened was if you think about Google ads and you think about Facebook ads, if I tell you like you should run your own Google ads, that would sound like a crazy idea. I should probably use an agency to run Google ads. Same thing goes for Facebook. Running your ads for Facebook seems daunting, right? It seems like a very crazy thing to do by yourself, and you probably need an agency or a software or something. So Amazon is almost there. It's like 90% there, I feel like. So you need either a software or an agency to run your PPC. And if you don't, and on top of that, you should have an expert in-house in your team understanding PPC on a deep level, because PPC is your second biggest expense after inventory in Amazon. So let's say you use an agency and that's all you do. You just use an agency and your sales start going down, you spend more and more on PPC, something is off, right? But you don't know what it is that's off. So if you don't have anyone in your team that understands PPC, it has to be you that understands PPC, unfortunately. So if you need that person that understands it, because let's say the agency doesn't do a good job, you want that person be able to pivot to a software, a different agency, and so on.
And I'm curious, like, what sort of tools and softwares do you use to run your business in terms of like applications? Like, you know, in your presentation, you talked about Slack and how you organize the channels and stuff like that. But what other sort of like quick tools would you recommend for people to use to really optimize running their business?
Yeah, so obviously there are like the Amazon like industry different tools like Helium 10, stuff like that obviously like most sellers use. But you also need to think, how do I run my business every single day? So do you have like a task management tool to basically like Asana or ClickUp? We use Asana and we use ClickUp for the consulting business. But basically a tool that helps you to understand what you need to do every day, every week, every month. And let's say you do sourcing, or let's say you do product development. You need to have a checklist of everything you need to do so you won't forget anything. One thing that happened to us, we were shipping, let's say 2,000 units, I don't remember how many it was, but from China to Amazon. And then we added another variation to that product. And the supplier caught it and said, oh, by the way, we have it in packaging the same FNSKU on the packaging as the original variation. And we almost shipped it out.
Wow. Like
that specific. And then basically I took the fault for that, because it's not my team's fault that happened, because it wasn't in a task. Like there was no task to check the FNSKU on the packaging. So we just added that as like another subtask, and that was it. And that never happened again, right? So, I mean, if you have everything organized, then it's a lot easier.
Nice. So I want to kind of like wrap up with some quick hitters. Like you do a lot of podcasts and stuff like that. Well, actually, firstly, before we do that, is there a question that no one's ever asked you before that you wish they would have asked you?
I think one question I don't get asked much is, why am I giving so much free content, and why am I giving so much free value? Like,
I get that quite a lot as well. Yeah.
So why am I doing this, right? Why are you doing this like YouTube channel and just giving everything you know, pretty much? So I think what I realized over time, and this is what got me to speak at all over the world, and probably you the same thing, is just by giving value all over the place, you just get so much back. So because my main audience, like 7-8 figure sellers, my hope is that by reading the book, people will get to 7 figures and then use my services, right? And then I can help them get further in their journey, and also hopefully exit at some point if that's what they want to do. So by putting a lot of free content, I also get to help a lot more people. So, and I really believe that if you just sell products, that's great. I do that a lot, but then you might be happy by helping yourself. But if you want to be fulfilled, I believe you need to help others succeed as well. So
for sure. And what are some like quick hitters and some quick tips or strategies? Because I know that like when you do the interview with Bradley on Serious Sellers podcasts, he always asks for this, which is the 30-second tip. So do you have any quick tips that are just like maybe just on the top of your mind that you're like, all right, you should apply this to your business and it will help you out?
I honestly believe that you need to treat it as a business as soon as you can and be prepared for that. So you should start hiring as soon as you can afford to. You should have a core team around you that are like management material, and then they could build a team around them. So you need that middle tier in order to succeed in this business. If you just hire people for customer support and PPC and whatever, you are still going to be the bottleneck of your own business. So you need that core 1, 2, 3 people that are management, and then they can hire the rest of the people underneath them.
You said something really interesting in your presentation yesterday, which was it was like grow to hire to grow or something like that. What was the phrase?
Yeah. So you need to hire to grow and not grow before you hire.
Right.
So I think people think I need to get to 50K a month or 100K a month before I hire anyone, but the truth is you need to hire someone to get to that level.
True. I love that. And just to wrap up, like the people which have read the book's been into many hands of different people, to sellers, to aggregators, to even Amazon itself. What's the feedback that you've heard so far from the book that's like that you've been very happy with, that surprised you? You're like, oh, cool, I'm glad people got value from that.
Yeah, so my aim is really always to help bigger sellers, because if I can help bigger sellers, I know the small sellers get value as well.
Yeah.
So that's my aim always. And I just got a whole bunch of reviews from like 7-8 figure sellers that I don't even know personally that got a lot of value from the book. Like they said that in each chapter, like someone commented that they read just the first 2 chapters and they got so much from the product research chapter, the second one, out of the book. So I mean, or the teams and systems, and like each one is really commenting on like a different chapter. So I think there is so much value inside the book, and it's like 300 pages, took me 2 years to complete. It's not like a small PDF file that you download, you know, it's like a real book. So
for sure. And we actually have to rush off to go see Neil Patel speaking at the main theatre in 5 minutes. But Tomer, where can people reach out to you if they want to sort of contact you? And we'll put all your links in the description down below, but maybe you want to shout out the best way for people to contact you.
Yeah, so if you go to Facebook or LinkedIn, that's great, or you can go to jointopdog.com as well and see our services there, and also get the book over there.
Cool.
Yeah.
So guys, Ride the Amazon Wave by Tomer Rabinovich. Check it out.
On Amazon, don't forget to leave a 5-star review.
Yeah, absolutely.
No need for an honest review, just a 5-star one is great.
Yeah. Cool, Tomer, thank you so much for coming on the channel today.
Really
appreciate it. Thanks guys, all the best. And remember to leave a comment down below for Tomer to win a chance to win a copy of the book. Maybe you'll sign it, I'm not sure. I don't know if they're in a warehouse or if they're in your home, but it might be signed, it might not be. There might be a love message in there. And also definitely reach out for that one-on-one coaching call with Tomer as well. Thanks guys, all the best, take care, and chat to you soon.